Hi, everyone. Welcome to a live recording of the Ripple Podcast. So, we're on Facebook Live right now. Hope some of y'all are watching us. But when we do a podcast, we will often record it a couple of weeks before it actually goes live. And that's what we're doing right now. So, those of you who watch it live get to see it a little bit early. And today, JR and I are going to be talking about the 5 types of video that you might do for your business.
That's right, Brian. Not quite sure what to say. Definitely, totally.
So, as we talk today, we're going to be talking about these different types of video. We're going to talk about the kind of equipment that you might use. Not everything needs to be done professionally. Uh, of course, we do definitely see the value in professional video,
hmm
but we're going to talk about how you can do some of these things yourself, um, type of equipment you might use, and then the difference between having it done professionally or doing it yourself. So, let's just dive right on in. So, JR, tell us a little bit about. Let's jump into number one here, which we've got a promotional video.
Right. So promotional video is kind of that typical. If I said shoot a video for your business, you would automatically think about, all right, I need to tell people what I do, what I sell, who I am, why we're the bestest in the world, we're better than the competitor. I mean, anything you can think about where you're talking about me. So if I made a video right now about Five Stones Media and I wanted it to be a promotional video, I would say make the video about us, saying we're better, we're the best, buy it now, whatever. And that's kind of the message that people get hit with nowadays. There's more videos flying at us all day long, all day, every day, and most of them are promotional. Nothing wrong with it, but that's kind of where your head goes immediately. And so that's why it's video one. However, we're going to talk about 4 other types there. Um, I'll say over and over again with these types of videos is that what are you shooting for? So the classic type of video was TV, right? Like we thinking either a 30-minute episode, if you came from the TV era, or a longer sort of installment, or something that takes a long time to explain. So if I was going to promote us, I'd talk for a long, long time about why we're great, our backstory, all that kind of stuff. But we, Five Stones, I don't know if you know this, Brian, but we here at Five Stones, most of our focus is on social messaging, social advertising, digital stuff, and the attention span is no big surprise, a lot shorter there, right? And in fact, all these classes and stuff and things that Google's and Facebook's information says it's 15 seconds. That's really the cap of people's where you look at the graph and it starts to plummet. And ideal time is 5 seconds. That's super fast. So my promotional video would be like, "Hey, this is JR from Five Stones. We're the best. Bye." you know. So most of these videos, I'm going to recommend short, and that doesn't mean that everything nowadays has to be short. But if you were shooting, say, you were trying to do an ad campaign on social media using Facebook's advertising platform, or maybe pre-roll for YouTube, or anything like that, where you're trying to get your audience that way, all of these, 1 minute or less is usually what we'll say. Unless when we get to talk about educational video, we'll go a little longer.
Yeah, and it's really going to depend on the quality of what it is that you're putting out there. If you can actually entertain somebody, you can people go watch 2 hour movies all the time.
Yeah, there's something to be said for, especially for if you know who your audience is and you're able to connect with them and do something where they're highly involved, then yeah, they'll stay in tune for longer. But of course now we have a lot of analytical tools and stuff like that where we can see people's engagements and test that time over time. But if you're shooting a series and stuff, but I'm getting ahead of myself. When we talk a little bit more about educational, we'll talk about that. So promotional video would be talking about me. And when I teach this class, I teach a video class, and we'll have it here coming up at Five Stones, I think, in a month or so, where I kind of show examples and things like that. I like to kind of stop the audience like on their feet and say, "Hey guys, I just want to stop real quick in the class and tell you guys about how great I am. Like I'm really the best. Have you guys noticed how amazing I am right now? I'm the best." And they're all like, "Okay." It's like that essentially is a promotional video. And the problem with it in the long run is that I mean, you're never going to get away from this. We're trying to sell or talk about who we are or whatever. But, we also do story brand stuff, right? Where
Hmm.
we're talking like, how are you? You're trying to get someone else's attention. I don't really care about you. I care about me. You know, like if you're trying to sell to me, why not talk about me? Me, your audience. So if you're going to do promotional video, some of the ways I would say you try and approach it is to think about it's a sales 101. What problem are you solving for the
Yeah.
person? And
Start
then
with the pain point.
yeah, and then approach your video that way. And therefore you're promoting your service but as a solution, not just as a, I want to talk about myself.
So where would somebody use a promotional video? Is this the kind of video that we would have on the homepage of our website? Is this something that we would use for a social media advertisement?
I mean, yeah. The social media ad is the one that most clearly comes to mind, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the classic. Here's what I got to offer. Pay attention to me. Come by. Click now. Buy now. Come by. Whatever your call to action is there. We've certainly done them on homepages of websites too, where it's just kind of an overall view of what we're doing. I mean, promotional is kind of a catch-all for a lot of different things, but if you can imagine, like, I'm trying to give you a 30-second snapshot of everything that I can do
Mm-hmm.
in my business, that would be it. So, but we definitely use them mostly in digital advertising would be the best use.
Okay. All right. So video two is a testimonial video.
Yeah, so I have two. I like to say this is my favorite video, but then I'll say it again later. But we like testimonial videos.
Mm-hmm.
I just came from a meeting before this where we were talking about testimonial videos.
Well, testimonial videos are great because instead of you saying how great you are, other people get to say how great you are.
I would have said that with a joke, Brian. I would have said it much more clever than that. But yeah, no, totally. So where I'm leading in here is that I can sit here and talk about you. Well, if I convinced you to sit there and talk about how great my business is, obviously I have more buy-in in that. And particularly, again, for social video, you're accessing that core group of those people's friends. And people, if you can get someone on camera, that they're going to want to share it. I mean, how many professional actors do you guys know? Not many, right? So the testimonial video is a lot more natural. And if you've ever heard, if you went to, we had Momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kim talked about authenticity. This is a word we hear a lot in marketing these days. Authenticity, authenticity. We've shot so much stuff where the person's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous." It's like the same mantra over again. I can't believe it. I don't know what I'm saying. Am I doing okay? I'm like, it's almost like the more nervous you are, the more you're like shooting from the better these days. No one wants to see a truly polished promotional video. You think like someone's up there like Slick McRick, sitting there talking about how great our business is. Well, Jill McNatural, she's probably going to sell it better. I again, I tell people about this. Like the hard thing about testimonial video is getting the person to say yes. So if I ask you, if you're a business owner or you work for a business, or whatever, you can probably immediately, if I said, who could I shoot a testimonial video of? You can probably think of, we call them raving fans, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
think of someone who really likes your business. But there's a big jump between that person liking you and getting them in front of the camera. It's the hardest part of
Yeah,
this
people
video.
are scared to death of a camera.
Or they'll say they'll do it, but it's like people have lives; they're busy,
Mm-hmm.
And we try. You were asking earlier about type of equipment and stuff like that. I mean, when we go out and shoot, we bring lights. We're shooting right now on a big old camera. That stuff's imposing,
Mm-hmm.
and so you got to be. There's a lot of in play there. Being respectful of that person's time. Where are you going to shoot it? How are you going to do it quick for them? All of a sudden, it becomes like this scary thing for them, just navigating their schedule and your schedule and stuff like that. So sometimes the trickiest part is just getting the person in front of the camera.
But don't let that keep you from doing a testimonial video. Just because it is difficult to often get people to agree to get on camera, those are probably the best type of video that you can ever do for your business. And it is worth the hassle. It is worth the follow up and making your schedule work so that it works for the person giving you the testimonial.
Yeah, absolutely. And you asked earlier about usage. Great for websites. Like if you really get good at it and ask people to talk about, if you offer more than one thing and you get them to testify about that specific thing, well, then you can put that on that page of your website. Man, Five Stones did a great job with my social media management. Boom. Perfect for right there. Don't take
Mm-hmm.
my word for it. Take their word for it. And also something to be said about, okay, we shoot stuff that's really professional. We cut it with B-roll, like in all this example. But if it comes down to the person says, "Hey, great job," I'm like, "Really? Can you mind if I just real quick?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "Tell me how great I did." That's better than nothing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And for those of you who are listening in and not watching, JR's holding up his cell phone.
Oh, I forgot. I'm
yeah.
only a voice.
Yeah. So what he's saying is, don't hesitate to just pull out your camera, your cell phone, and get a video of that person. Testimonial videos, unlike promotional videos probably need to have a pretty decent level of production. But a testimonial video, yeah, it's great to have them highly produced, but it is a very effective thing still to just pull out your cell phone and shoot a video of that person talking about how great you are.
Yeah. And that's a common question I get asked all the time. It's like, what do I need to be shooting on? What kind of equipment do I need to invest in? And when I teach a class, I have a whole section on it's titled "Work with What You Got." And it's just I'd rather see a crummy video done than a professional video never done.
Yep.
Just get it done one with the other. And once you get started, and you get more comfortable in it.
I also see people taking kind of a hybrid approach where they will have just that cell phone video, but then they'll put a nice intro and an outro on it, put some fly-ins with the person's name. They take a low production value video and add some nice little tricks to it to make it look a little better.
All right, and there's a lot of outsourced stuff that you can even get buy something online that can do that for you, so you don't need a whole lot of knowledge of editing and stuff straight away. I mean, people's expectation of video has really dropped dramatically over time just because of what's available. If you watch YouTube, what we were just reading that article the other day, that YouTube is the most popular social media channel now, like for young people. Like everybody's always asking us, what are the kids doing these days, whatever. But anyway, YouTube is at the top currently right now. And yeah, I mean, like I'll sit through a YouTube video. I don't care if it's out of focus or if it's shot with a cell phone or whatever. It's the content. So people are willing. So it's less and less about the camera and more just doing it and doing it consistently.
Yeah, yeah. So before this is over, let's make sure we talk about that whole run and gun thing too. But let's finish out our types of videos. Right now, video type 3 is a company culture video. Now we do a ton of these at Five Stones.
Not as many as I'd like to because my ukulele is getting dust on it. So this is my other favorite. I mentioned that I like favorite. And if you have, so everybody has a company culture. Like no matter what kind of business you're in, you're creating a culture. If you work by yourself, well, then you have a solopreneur culture or something like that. But particularly if you have employees, most businesses have some sort of sales tactic, and there's usually a face of the business. Ours is particularly ugly. No, I'm just kidding. No, Brian and Kim are the ones that people usually associate.
Look, I've been told for a long time that I have a face for radio.
I'm totally going to get myself kicked off this. But company culture pulls the veil back, and it has a lot of latitude here. So in my class, I show an example of us singing very badly a Christmas carol, and we sent it out as a card. And I don't, if you look at the numbers between a promotional video, that very first one I talked about, the where your head goes, versus something that is really not selling a darn thing, but you're showing people like we're real. Here's that word again, authenticity. It can do more than anything any highly polished $100,000 video can, and it can really be anything. And it forces you to think, all right, well, I'm not just my super handsome sales guy, but who are the people here? Because that's what people want to know, particularly on social. Again, they want to see more of why you over the competitor. Are you real? What makes you unique? Are you funny? Are you everybody's got their own culture. It's just tapping into that. And again, it doesn't have to be super highly polished.
Well, and there's that old saying about people buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
Right.
And when you do these company culture videos, they get to know you a little bit better. Not only do they get to know you, but they get to know your team. They know it's real people behind whatever the service is that they're buying.
Yeah, and in company culture too is one of those things you can capitalize on a moment. Like, okay, an easy one would be it's someone's birthday and they blow out the candles. That's not really that's not super exciting, but if something's funny is happening or like a moment, it's getting in the habit of getting on the phone and recording it. And we'll talk later about live broadcasts, but some of these can cross over. Like that could be an opportunity to just shoot from the hip and capture a moment in the office or in the field. A lot of this is just becoming comfortable recognizing videoable moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a great example of that. There's a software development firm that we love called Invoke, ENVOC, and they just posted a video this past week.
The guy goes into his office with the Post-it note.
There were Post-it notes. Had to have been, maybe it wasn't thousands, but it was at least hundreds of Post-it notes stuck to everything. And I'm talking about just nicely laid out. They did it like wallpaper basically on everything. And they set up I guess it was a GoPro, underneath the desk filming his reaction when he comes in. They've got a camera out in the hallway filming his reaction when he goes in. And the owner of the company, Calvin, actually he did a post saying that they have a line item in their budget for doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a true blue marketing tactic, and it nothing and that doesn't say anything about what Invoke does. But another way to think about this is if you're in the type of business or whatever that's always trying to intrigue people to work for you, particularly a younger workforce wants to know that they're not going to go to a place that's boring or bland or whatever. So that's
Yeah.
another way to look at it.
Yeah. All right. So video type number 4 would be our educational videos. I know you're waiting to talk about that one.
Yeah, and the example I show in my classes of you, Brian, teaching your like the difference between Facebook ads and boosted posts and stuff like that. So this is that one that it kind of blows the short out of the wire. You can really talk for a long time about educational, and this is where just what YouTube does, right? People create a show. Heck, we're doing a podcast right now that's fairly consistent, and like we're going to do this over and over again. So it really lends itself to repeatability, to a series. The hardest part about it is just to do it, right? To do it consistently.
Yep.
It doesn't mean to have to be high budget. It can be sitting there. But I always, for some reason, think of these of like the working person. So if I come from a background of doing electrical and carpentry work long ago, how easy would it be for me to, in the field, I'm not, I'm going to assume I'm a busy guy who doesn't have a lot of time to create highly polished videos or even content on the site or whatever. But while I'm fixing someone's deck, I can be like, all right, I'm going to take out my phone. Look at this right here. This is rotted because they didn't use, coated screws or something like that. Or this is the difference between, coating, repainting the deck or something like that. Small teachable moments that we definitely live in a culture where everything you could possibly want to learn is on YouTube. And so the big thing about educational video is getting over not wanting to give away secrets. That's what holds people up here is that, I mean, we're in marketing, right? We know a lot of things and we're always having to learn new things. And well, if we tell everybody, then they're not going to want to work with us. That goes for every single possible business. You got to get over that.
Well, let me tell you how this works in reality. Okay, we teach a lot of classes at Five Stones. That is how we've grown this business. We did it from very early on in the business. And we taught people what it is that we know how to do, and we taught them how to do it themselves. It's exactly what we're doing right here is we're talking about these videos, and we're giving people a little glimpse into how they can do it themselves. We're going to show them how they can do it with an iPhone. But the thing is I know that when I teach a class, for example, there'll be 50 people sitting in that classroom in many cases, and the majority of those people are going to leave the classroom and they're never going to do anything that they just learned. They are going to have wasted their time. But there's going to be a handful of people in that room that are going to take what they learned and they're going to go put it into action in their business, and they're going to see good results from it. And I love it when people do that. They're not hiring us, but I love seeing when somebody puts what I've taught them into action and they go do it for themselves. But then every time that I have one of those classes where there's 50 people in it, there's going to be one or two people that are going to see that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm the expert, and they're going to say, you know what, this is over my head. I don't want to do this. I'm going to hire him to do it. And that is why you do educational videos. So if you're the person that is teaching somebody how using the wrong type of screws caused the deck to rot out, then you have just showed people that I know the correct type of screws to build a deck that is going to last. And when somebody wants a deck, they're going to think of you.
Yeah, and you've given them value. You wouldn't teach on something that I don't know, that people are not interested in. It doesn't have to be mind-blowing and stuff like that, but you're also creating yourself as the expert. So not everybody's ready. Not every industry is tailored to buy now, eventually someone's going to need whatever it is you do, and you're going to be the guy who is clearly the expert in your industry, whereas the other guy's not doing anything. There's no culture. They don't know what they do except maybe promotional. We know they're trying to sell me, but this guy I know, like, and trust. He's giving me some value, whatever, and I'm going to go with that guy.
A lot of people that know me know that my background is I was a Mercedes technician, and I owned a couple of auto repair shops. With the ease of doing video now and how quickly we can get something on the web down to live just like we are right now, I would give anything to have been able to have that type of technology at my fingertips when I had my auto repair shop. because I would have been able to set myself apart from the competition so easily through sharing my knowledge online through quick and easy videos.
Yeah.
All right, so video type number 5 would be a live social broadcast, and we're doing that right now.
Right, but we're doing it right. the the thing that bugs me about this, so this was a big interrupter in the industry when Facebook started doing this, and now pretty much all social platforms have it. You can YouTube Live, all that kind of stuff. But if I had a nickel for every time I've seen a news broadcaster holding some sort of cell phone or camera below their chin, walking at the same time and doing this moving around unplanned, and it's like they're just randomly talking, whatever, that's the wrong way to do it. And ironically, these are people who work professionally in broadcast. If you're a newscaster, please don't do that. It makes me sick, like I get seasick. So that's a word of caution. This is the easiest thing to do. Like everybody who has Facebook app on their phone can literally pressing one or two buttons go live right now and shoot a video. That doesn't it doesn't kill the rules of you should prepare, you should know what you're talking about, you should have a message, especially if you're doing it for your business. You need to look like you're somewhat prepared. And of course, there's the ability to curse on air, to for things you can't possibly plan for. And there's some stuff that can go wrong there. So really good to use for event, obviously, to capitalize on a moment. That same example I talked about earlier with the testimonial. Well, you could shoot a live testimonial. There's a little bit of chance and stuff there, but the one thing I would suggest with that, because it's anything shot with a cell phone, is using some sort of tripod or mount or something. I mean, holding a cell phone steady is really difficult, and people are. It's any little movement with a cell phone will start to move around. So when you're shooting live, it necessitates being on a phone. It's very difficult to shoot like we're shooting right now. So most of it's going to be on a phone. So to prepare for that, you mount it on the car dashboard or some sort of mount so that you don't make people sick.
Yeah. So live social broadcast. What I mean, actually, all the types of videos that we have talked about could be done live. You could do a live promotional video.
Yeah.
Live testimonial, you just mentioned it. Live company culture is great. Live educational video. The only difference with live is that you don't have the opportunity to go back and edit it if you do say the wrong thing. But it doesn't get much more transparent than that.
Yeah. I mean, the example I show in my video class it has nothing to do with business. Is Chewbacca Mom? You
Yeah.
guys remember Chewbacca Mom? Like that was the first one that like cracked the thing open. And although she's just an authentic lady, like who's tickled pink by that Chewbacca mask that growled and stuff like that. You know how much money it made for Target or whatever it was?
Coles.
They were smart enough to send her more or do
Yep.
something to just hop on it. So there's a lot of potential there. I mean, I tend to gravitate towards the funner, the more amusing thing. To try and put humor in a lot of things, but you can use it any way that you use these other videos. But it's still, we talk about the word production. Having a plan is pre-production. There you can script people. You can go really, really far with it, and that tends to scare people. I'm just talking about if having some semblance of I have a goal for this video. I'm going to go live and I'm going to talk to this person. All right, if I'm going to interview you, Brian, testimony, like, hey, I'm going to live record this real quick. Is that cool? Okay, cool. I'm going to ask you about what you thought about my repair of your Mercedes. You cool? Okay, done. So like that, then it's not, you're making yourself prepared. You know what I mean? It's just, it gets more comfortable the more you do it. But I've seen a lot of business owners not they're rambling for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and that has the adverse effect on a business.
The biggest thing about getting comfortable in front of the camera when you do go live is just understanding that you're gonna mess up. You're going, if you sit there trying to rehearse your lines before you do it, you're gonna mess it up. You're not gonna remember those lines. So you just have to be willing to kind of go with it.
Yeah. I don't usually. There's very few videos. I think we shot over 100 last year. We very rarely use a teleprompter or script people. I'd rather ask a question and let them answer. Because again, that A word, that authenticity. I mean, they're gonna do better, and I don't think people are expecting super polish anymore.
All right. So let's talk about some equipment that somebody might use if they're going to do this stuff themselves.
Right on.
And this we probably should start off right here. For those of you who are listening, JR, I'll let you tell them what this thing is called.
That's a 3.5 audio converter. So when you, one of the things that will make people stop watching the fastest is bad sound. So there's the jittery video thing, but there's also the mic. Like if I were to interview anybody with my phone or try and record any sort of audio, you have like a distance of 6 inches before you can't hear a thing. It's like an omnidirectional microphone. So you could very easily get a lot of little modifications that are super cheap. So what Brian's holding is a thing that plugs into a 3.5 audio jack, the standard headphone jack, and then outputs to a female end that allows you to plug in any sort of audio device. And so that's a converter. The other thing is like there are lots and lots of little mics available. You just plug into a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to have to add the asterisk here that Apple kind of screwed everything up, and they have phones that don't have any jacks. I don't even know what to tell you there.
Well, they do have an adapter though that will plug into.
There's a dongle, right?
Yeah.
They'll sell you $100 dongle.
So that's where Apple's making their money probably is by adapters now.
But the point is that find some sort of microphone, or if you have any sort of microphone adapter, sound. Think about sound.
And man, they make some really good external mics for phones now. Like you can get the Zoom attachment that will plug into the phone, and you've got a external microphone that is way better than what the phone comes with. Now, all of these things that I'm mentioning, because some people are, and not even if you were watching, it's not like you can tell exactly what this is. But I'm going to put Amazon links, and they're not affiliate links or anything. I'm just going to put Amazon links in the show notes. So it will be next Friday when this episode goes live as the podcast. But links to these little pieces will be there. But the point is, have good audio. I know that I will watch a video that's got poor video quality, but I will not watch a video that's got poor audio quality.
Yeah, and that's another, before we leave audio behind, that's another thing I talk about in class is like shooting for no audio at all. Like because of people are seeing stuff in their Facebook stream or something, sound is turned off usually. So you have to kind of shoot. So visual attention span is really short. So I think it's Google that has a saying that's like, shoot for sound off, delight with sound on. So you have to plan that they're not going to hear it. So if I was doing a promotional video, I'm sitting here standing talking about how great I am, and if the end result is just my face, like no one's going to watch that video. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of plan for that.
And then put text overlay.
Yeah. And if you're doing Facebook ad, if you turn a video into a Facebook ad, it'll automatically do subtitles for you.
Okay. All right. So now I've got a little cell phone tripod here. And this is something, I can't put a link to this one probably. I may be able to find it, but Facebook gave this to us. Yeah, they sent us a couple of them. But it's just a little tripod that you can sit on your desk and put a cell phone in it. And it'll keep your video nice and still instead of somebody trying to hold it the whole time.
Yeah, for me, that's your starting point right there.
And they're like, what, $7 or something?
Yeah, it's under $10. That'll open up your world as long as you can find a flat surface you can put on. There's some that have little straps you can wrap around the pole. I mean, these kind of things have been around for little point shoot cameras forever and ever. Well, this is just a different holder. But that right there, I think, is really necessary to always have in your car or in your desk or something like that.
Okay. And then we have just a couple of devices that are made to hold your phone or an iPad here, and I'll put links to these, and these will connect to any tripod with a 1/4 inch.
Yeah, if you've dabbled in photography at all and you already have a tripod, well, you're one step up. You just get a different adapter for it. Stabilize the camera and improve the audio. Those are two parts of it. But again, this is all cell phone stuff or with your iPad. Yeah.
And then people can use what, like Windows Movie Maker
for editing.
Comes free on most new computers, and then on Mac.
iMovie. Yeah. So the Chamber, one of my favorite examples of doing it all on your phone. Megan, if you're listening, shout out again. But the Hammond Chamber was doing a series of videos where they were going and doing testimonials of local business owners, shot on a cell phone, on an iPhone, edited in phone in iMovie, and then exported. Never left the phone.
and look great.
Yeah, they look good. And she was even cutting between A-roll and B-roll. And by that I mean like I'm shooting your face and then I'm cutting to, you were talking about the glass and I cut to the glass. It's actually a little bit more advanced.
Hmm.
And she's doing it all on her phone, like with her thumbs. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. I'd rather be doing it on our computer. But so it can be done, whatever phone you have, there's a native app for it as well.
Okay, so now we've been talking about people doing this themselves.
Hmm.
Where do people really want to use professional video?
If you're going to put money behind it, I think that's when you start to think about how does this thing look. Like if you're shooting something for social, it's hard to justify a budget. Uh, we've shot videos for events, right? And that's being pushed out in an email. It's multiple cuts of that video. There's a dollar tag attached to it. We're boosting the post, or we're creating a Facebook ad. So we're spending hundreds of dollars. A lot. I'm trying to get a lot of people to see that ad. I want that video to look pretty good at that point. I mean, some people, it's also a time question, right? Like, how much time do you want to devote to this? Or you're one of those people that says, "Oh, I've got a young kid, a person on staff. He knows video." You need to be clear about capacity, and that's just marketing anyway. You know, how much capacity do you have to do it? But if you're the type of person who likes it and will do it, the more you do it, the better you're going to get.
Yeah.
That's with anything, right? So I think if you're going to put money behind it, consider using a professional. Or if you don't have the time, because it's going to take practice, it's that 10,000 hour things. The more you do it, the better the videos will look. If you don't want to deal with that and just want to be good right out of the gate.
And I feel like if this is something that's going to go on the homepage of your website, like this is the thing that tells everybody this is what we do in our business. This is the pain point that we solve. It is the primary video that you use when promoting your company. I think that you should have it professionally done.
Yeah, and another thing probably about working with a professional video production company or marketing agency who can shoot video is that they're going to bring ideas to the table that never occurred to you. And probably for, I think one of the things for us that always surprise people that they like the most is the ability to communicate and direct. So if we shoot a testimonial, different people are going to handle that differently, but you might not think of what to ask, or can you make that person comfortable and laugh and reach that next level of like, this person is clearly happy sort of thing. That's kind of a communication art. It's a hard thing to teach, and some people just haven't, some don't.
Hmm. Yep. All right. So anything else that you think our listeners need to know?
I just like to stop right now and talk about how I'm the best, how amazing. Promotional video. No, I believe we have these 5 types of videos. If you're going to mention it on our website that you can download, I think we have some examples of them as well that you can link to. But or if you have the ability to come to we teach this class a couple of times a year. It should be coming up again pretty soon. Love to see you there.
Yeah, JR taught this one at Momentum last year, and we got a lot of really good feedback on it.
I was really excited after I teach the class. A lot of people come up to me and say, "I've got ideas." You know, I get a lot of joy of people. You know, there's so many different kinds of businesses we deal with, and it's always amazing to me how people can figure out video content for something that you might think is not super exciting. You know, and there's no business that I like to challenge the crowd. Tell me something, I'll come up with a video for you. And I like to see people do that and be inspired by it. And I usually in the end of the class leave a challenge. I'll leave a challenge with people now. Is set a goal for yourself like anything else. You have to create a regimen. You have to write it down and say, I'm going to do this. If you can try and shoot 1 video a month for your business, that would give you 12 videos a year. You'd have some sort of consistency and stuff like that. And we're not talking like the promotional video. Okay, well, I got to have a helicopter shot. Okay, you don't have to do that. But what did we just talk about? Like live video, maybe an interview, testimonial. Like those are the kinds of things, short, sweet. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it done. It'll do well for your business.
All right. Well, great. Well, if any of y'all have any questions or anything, and you're watching this after the fact, if you ask the question in the comments on our Facebook Live, then we will be happy to answer those, and look for this episode of the podcast to drop. Well, you know what? If I had the date in front of me, that would probably be good. That is going to be need the music for this. So that is going to be Friday the 22nd of June. So share it with your friends. And if you'd like to talk about having some professional video done, we'd love to talk to you about that.
We know some guys.
Yeah. So thank y'all for watching or listening, and I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode of the Ripple Podcast by 5 Stones.
And cut, because that's what they do in video. Cut.